Hey guys, Yumi here again, and today I'm bringing you another episode of my series in which I talk about what I believe to be the best loadout for each map. And today it's on ZAVOD 311 as suggested by Preston S on my last best loadout video on Operation Outbreak. So I'll just be talking about what loadout I chose, why I chose it, why I think it's the best loadout for this map. Now, ZAVOD 311 is my favorite vanilla map, and it's one of my favorite maps in the game overall. It's just because it is like probably one of the most varied maps in the game and how you could play it. You could literally do anything and do well on this map. You can run medic and just do anti-infantry and do really well. You can be engineer and do a cross between the two of attacking infantry and attacking vehicles, support, or even sniping because of all the trees and shit that's all over the map. You can literally do anything. I could have chosen any class to choose for this map, but I ended up just going with what I usually run on this map, like almost every time I play it, which is an engineer with PDW or carbine. I fumbled through a few PDWs before I settled on the CBJ-MS. I'm not really sure why I settled on it. I wanted to go with like the PP2000 or the MP7 or just one of the PDWs that has a larger magazine, because you do come across larger groups of enemies a lot on this map. But I ended up settling on the CBJ-MS mainly because it has a slower fire rate, which means a higher damage model, which means it's better at longer range. And you do come across a varied range of distances on this map. You'll be fighting guys in close quarters and long range simultaneously, and thankfully the CBJ-MS has a really good hipfire accuracy, which can really help you out in close quarters, and also like kind of extending into medium range because it's such an accurate spread for hipfire. And since it has a slower fire rate, it's easy to use at long range. You can get headshots consistently and manage to down guys just as quickly with any weapon, especially if you can get multiple headshots in a row and cut that time to kill in half. I put a suppressor on the CBJ-MS just to help me stay off the minimap because you do end up just completely surrounded by enemies. At least the way that I play, I ended up surrounded by enemies all the time throughout any of the matches that I play. So I like using suppressors because it allows me to kill one to multiple enemies without enemies being able to figure out where I am and killing me. It allows you to engage more enemies than you normally would and have more success. So that's why I enjoy using suppressors, especially on PDWs, so that I can definitely close the distance between me and my enemies so that I can make use of the PDW's effectiveness in close quarters. For a secondary weapon, I went with the 44 Magnum, which is what I almost always run with the engineer class, because to make up for the deficiency of PDWs at range, since a lot of times when I'm running engineer kit, I like to use the PDWs because they're unique to that class, so I need to use something that is more effective at longer range, and that would be a 44 Magnum. It's basically a pocket DMR. It is a 3-shot kill at range, not counting headshots, so if I'm in a pinch and I'm like shooting at a guy and I run out of bullets, I can do a quick switch to the Magnum and one bang him in the chest and finish him off. And that's something that I do all the time. It ends up being really effective. It's probably the most effective combination in the game in terms of a primary and secondary weapon setup is a PDW and a Magnum, because it gives you the best of both worlds. Now, I also used a M67 frag grenade as my grenade, of course, because I think it's just the most effective grenade in the game. And for gadgets, I ran with the SMA because that's my favorite rocket launcher, and also the repair tool because that's probably the most important of the engineer's gadgets, because you can repair your friendly vehicles and keep them alive and keep them on the map. I don't like using mines. I think they're too campy, so I try to avoid them as much as possible. In fact, I don't think I've ever gotten a kill with a mine in this game. And also I went with the offensive field upgrade because I think it's probably the best of all the field upgrades, because it gets you also increased running speed and extra grenades, and then most importantly it gets you extra ammo. Now, this loadout may not be what works best for you on this map. I mean, as I said before, this is like a really dynamic map. It's really varied. You could do any of the classes and do well on this map, and I do any of the classes. I mean, most of the time I run engineer, but I have done all of the other classes on this map and have done well in the past, so it's definitely up to you. But as far as the engineer kit goes, this loadout worked out very well for me. My team was struggling. Every single time we captured a base, we lost it within 30 seconds, so it was just constant running back and forth on this map trying to cap the bases. It just ended up not being that good of a match. It was pretty close for a while, but the skill difference between our teams started to show a bit towards the end whenever they just started capping more and more of our flags. So anyway, if there is a map you guys would like me to do next, make sure you put it down in the comment section down below. And if you guys like this, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. And until next time, this is Yummy. Goodbye and good hunting.